This latest episode of Digimon Adventure absolutely took me for a ride and then some. I would probably go as far to say this is my current favorite episode of the new anime, even better than what was it, episode 2 or 3 of that incredible there was some insane stuff happening that really shook up what we thought we knew about the Digimon formula. I actually like this one even more simply because Ogremon and just like where they took this character, it really does show you that this new anime, which I guess is seemingly confirmed for 66 episodes, unless it's just a rumor that was mistranslated, is seemingly going for the route of making every episode feel story-driven rather than doing what a lot of the original anime did, where it felt more battle of the week. There's a lot of fluff in the original Digimon anime as much as I love it, and this anime is seemingly avoiding all of that based on the 9 episodes that we've consumed thus far. In doing so, it just makes the story incredibly intriguing and lets kind of like those Digimon that you think you beat come back into play and actually have a story that matters rather than just going on to a random Digimon and calling it a day. The thing that has always set Digimon apart to a lot of its counterpart series or anime or manga or games and things like that have a familiar element to them that you might want to compare to Digimon is that the Digimon themselves feel very human. The fact that they can have conversations, have these dialogues that feel important. You kind of look at characters in just Digimon like Ogremon and say, okay, evil Digimon, we fight that. That's traditionally what you would expect, especially with an ogre-like design. That's what it'd be. It would be a monster that you fight and you move on to the next one. And if you see like an angelic Digimon, then of course, that's going to be someone you're going to have a conversation with. But as you can see, in Digimon fashion, you get something that feels emotionally driven, as if these are people in a similar sense to our human characters. Yeah, they're different. They have their unique abilities and mindsets and things like that. And maybe they're not going to be as sharp as the general human, and maybe they'll be even more intelligent. But the fact remains is that they have feelings, and that feelings is something that really drives Digimon forward and above a lot of its competitors in my honest opinion. Something that started off so menacing and evil ended up having me wanting to shed a tear with his sacrifice towards the end of the episode. Because this is something that feels well paced, well developed, and you understand because they do look like animals and creatures, so this rivalry, the butting of heads between Greymon and him, it feels warranted and you understand where they're coming from, but as the fight gets progressing, you understand that they actually have some respect. Despite the pride being broken beforehand, he lost one of his horns, which for him, that is everything. He's pathetic in the eyes of other Digimon. So he needs to regain his pride for what Greymon did to him. But as the fight gets going, you actually think they're having fun, as if there's a form of respect between them. And that's why towards the end of the episode, you get that emotional swing where instead of punching this ultimate Digimon, which is an absolute Goliath of a beast, he instead makes a pass saying, hey, go. The holy Digimon that you seek lie before you. I got this. It's not because he thinks that these are these best people of all time, but there's a level of respect that he feels like if we can't finish our fight, one of us should get out of this. And honestly, you've shown your worth, and because my horn's gone, I need to do this to recover my pride in one way or another, even if it costs me my life. That's a level of stuff you don't get to see with a lot of shows that have creatures usually like this, because generally your human characters or whatever's happening, they don't talk back. They are just creatures that you think are less intelligent than human, but by giving Digimon a voice, while you may think it's weird at first, you really start seeing why it feels so important that they can talk and have these conversations, because that's why you can get choked up watching a character of that at surface level feel so evil and hostile, make you feel like we just kind of misunderstood and that the world of Digimon is a lot more complex than what we made it out to be, and even if he was working for this devilish being, at the end of the day, there was some compassion there underneath that trollish skin, and that's something that really does drive the series forward, and I really love that, because this episode was basically one big Greymon versus Ogremon fight, and I loved it, because there was actually a lot of development throughout the fight, rather than doing what they traditionally do with Digimon fights with, oh, you get a flame attack and then maybe a tail whip. There was a little bit of that, but then once it got going, it got pretty brutal. Like, you see, I mean, just like imagining, like, you're at the receiving end of just Greymon punching left and right, or clawing left and right, and then you flip it around and you're like, what the hell are these energy Dragon Ball blasts going off? I love it, and just at the same time, you're kind of feeling terrified, but as you start looking at the Digimon's face, you realize they're having a blast, and that's when you take a step back and say, it's not gonna last, especially if you've seen any of the original Digimon, and it's just still so nice to see something that you want to think you know what's going to happen to then turn into something really incredible. And the fact that they're actually giving characters like Ogremon the chance to shine rather than just kind of making it feel like a 5-minute thing, but actually giving an entire episode dedicated, it goes to show me that they're definitely avoiding fluff this time around. Obviously, they have time to add fluff in with filler and things like that, stuff that's not necessarily needed to advance the plot, but based on these 9 episodes, I wouldn't really change much. Besides maybe some of the dialogue, it can be a little slow at times, but honestly it feels like every episode, rather than just saying here's the Digimon of the week, it's a story. It's the holy Digimon. Why is it that Tai can read these tablets, things like that? Is it because of his Digivice, or is it because he's the main character and there's a specific reason for it? I mean, the preview for next week looks like we're getting Metal Greymon, which is going to be absolutely badass. We had a tease in this episode. I thought they were going to do it, and then oh man, they had to blue balls us. But honestly, I'm glad they did, because we got something much better than just an epic evolution, but rather something emotionally engaging to close it off. And I'm really hoping the gang takes that, sacrifice to heart and just gets the hell out of there, or at least attempt to, but I guess most likely we're going to watch a sacrifice happen and then we're going to see the next evolution or something like that. I think Digimon Adventure knows what it wants to be here. I think it definitely is taking the best elements of the best anime that they've done and really making sure they don't make the same mistakes they've done before, and just keeping the stuff that actually worked while also trying some new things along the way. And that's what you want to see, because a lot of times when you get these like reboots, these reimaginations of classic series, people get worried that they're going to trample on the original, and I'm a firm believer you can never trample on the original, because the original will always exist. Even if the creators are saying that's no longer canon, this is the new canon, you can make up your own canon, it doesn't matter. But there is this part of me that thinks, hey, if you are going to do the same characters and seemingly the same story, what's the point? Are you just updating the visuals? That's honestly what I thought this was going to be, just almost like an HD upgrade to the original anime. But I'm loving that it's unpredictable and that they're trying new things and incorporating things that I've only heard about from other anime, and then also seeing some things that I kind of remember from the originals that I watched, and it's a really fun experience. I'm glad they're going for emotional, story-driven, rather than action-oriented fight of the week. Yes, there is a lot of fights, and there is that classic Digimon humor, but it definitely feels to me that they understand that the Chosen One story, the Holy Digimon, Ultimate Digimon, that's what we want to focus on, and I'm glad they're putting the emphasis and focus on that, rather than fluff in stuff that kind of feels like bullshit. Sometimes when watching this new anime, I do wish it was a little more flashy with the static imagery, but when it does get into the action, you can't deny that this is the best Digimon has looked in quite some time, ignoring obviously like movies that they've done, because movies are a completely different beast than a television production that wants to go on for like 5 anime seasons. But honestly, this episode had some really bright colors that were really great. I love the purples in this episode. I really think it added to a really interesting flair, and then having Kabuterimon just come in and do that laser blast, be like, hey guys, we finally arrived, which I'm actually glad they finally did. I thought they were going to keep them separated a lot longer, like half the anime if I'm being honest, because I didn't know what they were doing with that plot line there. So it's nice that the gang is like officially formed, because we can really do some interesting things, and now that we have options with who can transform, I'm really hoping characters can get their transformation scenes to shine, because really so far it's only been 2 characters who have given the spotlight to get that full transformation more often than not. Great episode, definitely my favorite so far of the new anime, but as always, let me know your thoughts and feelings down below. What do you think of the emotional punches, and what do you think of the physical punches thrown towards characters like Greymon? Do let me know. If you enjoyed the video though, be sure to leave a like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button if you're happy new around here. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.